Yeah, so remember what I told you guys when things gonna get really funny? When things really heats up regarding the Ukrainian debate, the election, and the NATO left that was given strict instruction not to speak about the NATO proxy war when they are forced to chime in. When debate around this issue becomes so hot because Republicans are resisting Ukraine funding, once the election really begins, when Joe Biden and Trump go after, or whoever the nominee on the Democrat side go after Donald Trump, then you're gonna have Bernie Sanders and Biden endorsees have to fight against right-wing criticism of Biden's pro-war foreign policy, which is gonna be interesting. We started seeing it now. Now look, now this is what Bernie Sanders said. I read it because of my tweet. Bernie says, "I look forward to seeing Congress provide in the very near future financial support for Ukraine, which is violently struggling against Russian aggression." Now scroll up if you can, CJ, because I know. No, go to Bernie's tweet and scroll up because that's actually, if I remember right, the second tweet.
One. That's the second.
Now this is a observation I made on Twitter that I want to share with you guys on the show because I found something. I hope I can find this tweet. Look at Bernie's first tweet. Why did Bernie's first tweet got so many less likes than the second one? The second one has 17,000 likes compared to the 4,000. You want to know why? Because this is why Bernie Sanders was told not to talk about this. There's 3,000 replies. Everyone on anti-imperialist Twitter is toasting Bernie Sanders right now. And NAFO accounts was telling each other to go to Bernie Sanders' tweet and help prop it up because he's fighting our fight, the Ukrainian fight. So what does that mean? Bernie Sanders' tweets are being propped up by NAFO. You know, the intelligent troll farm? I know that because I followed the tweet from them early in the beginning, and they was like, holy shit, no, Bernie's getting ratioed. We got to come save him. So what does that say? That neocons are so comfortable that they got neocon bot for it. And I'm going to see if I can search this tweet. I didn't save it. I brought it up out of nowhere here. Where NAFO accounts was like, hey, guys, help Bernie. Help Bernie. Bernie's spreading pro-war propaganda. Help boost his tweet.
What?
Let me see if I can find it. I didn't plan to say this during the segment, but I want to show you this because it blows your mind.
Now, as you look for that, let me pull up what I said because I thought it was weird too that and let me just say this. Nick and I haven't talked about this ahead of time. I had no idea you was just about to say that before I showed my tweet. I was thinking the same thing. Like I was like, this is weird. Why I've never seen a second tweet get so vastly more. It's usually the other way around. And this is my tweet about the same thing. I say at this point, Bernie is just a disgusting piece of raw, unfiltered garbage. This tweet is completely unneeded, just pandering to the establishment. Notice how Twitter amplifies this tweet over the first tweet in the thread. So I had noticed the same thing. Go ahead, Nick.
No, this is it. I found it.
Go ahead.
Because if you're on Twitter, I know a lot of people on YouTube are not. When you make Twitter threads, usually your first tweet will get substantially more likes than your following tweets because most people see the first tweets, right? But Bernie's same tweet got literally 4 times more likes than the original tweet. This is why. This guy is a NAFO account. We've covered this many times before. NAFO is the intelligence agency sponsored troll farm that was actually started by a Nazi. Like, search our library. I did a long statement on this.
Yeah,
it was one of my favorite stories from last year when NAFO founder was caught being a Nazi. There's government leaders that propped them up. This is no doubt an intelligence front, right? Now, this is what NAFO's saying. Look, hey, NAFO, Bernie could use some support on this thread.
What?
As a lot of tankies and communists follow him, even though he's neither of those things. Please give him a boost in a comment. How far has he fallen, Bernie Sanders? Well, Bernie Sanders is getting lit up so bad, CJ. So those likes by Bernie mean nothing. Those are 90% body because you look at the tweet, and I'll show you, and you're gonna show some responses now. He's getting toasted by everybody after this tweet.
Yes.
And remember what I said, CJ? This is why they was told not to speak about it. You're supposed to be the baby face, if you guys know wrestling. You're the baby face. You're the good guy, Bernie. We can't get you getting your hands dirty with this shit right here. This shit will make you look bad. That's why they told these motherfuckers not to talk about it. Bernie was asked about Ukraine. Was it like State of the Union, Meet the Press, one of those fucking shows?
Yes.
And he was like, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about that. I haven't looked into it. Nigga, you are a liar. You're a senator voting on this. You told me you never Googled Ukraine. Get the fuck out of here. He told you guys that because he knew what the response would be if he came out openly as pro-war piece of shit garbage as he is here. Right?
I think that's why he put the Ukraine support, Nick. That's why he put the Ukraine support in the second tweet. Yeah. Because in the first tweet is the normal Bernie Sanders virtue signaling. He thought, oh, this is nobody's really gonna see the second tweet down here. He didn't understand NAFO was about to come in and blow that shit up. But go ahead, Nick.
And Ukraine Twitter was desperate to get Bernie Sanders support where he's getting destroyed here. So there's a ton of Ukraine flag Nazi supporting neocons that's saying stuff like Bernie Sanders is based. Okay. A ton of neocons coming to Bernie Sanders' defense. That's how low he has fallen. And I'm actually I don't know what order you wanted to go in, but here's Jimmy's.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, here's Jimmy's tweet, and then you can show the next receipt. Because there's just one of many, and we go through the thread actually. I think it'd be useful, and we can show the general response and our left wing algorithm Twitter to this. Now here's Jimmy. And I think this was a fantastic tweet. Bernie is now the willing face of evil. Now, this is why Jimmy Dore and myself make so many people in the establishment uncomfortable. Like, you even see Dr. Cornel West when he saw my Bernie video, he was like, damn, that nigga Nick.
Yeah.
You know, when Marianne Wilson heard my description of Bernie Sanders, she was like, no, if you feel that way, don't vote for me. Like, she was remember how horrified she was?
Yeah, she was horrified.
When I asked her about Bernie, they can't. And so many people hate me on the Bernie left simply because my criticism of Bernie is too mean. And that's why they hate Jimmy at the end of the day. And that's why me and Jimmy get along, because we are willing to call Bernie out for who he actually is. He is the willing face of evil, as he says. I honestly can't do the mental gymnastic it requires to not be sick to my stomach at the sight or mention of him, which is how I feel. Can you imagine working for him now as he does this? He slanders peace activists, for fuck's sakes. He's not only siding with actual Hitler Nazis right now, he's funding them. He's calling Trump corrupt while he funds Hitler Nazis and the slaughter of hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians. Now, this is the most important part. This is why I want to read this tweet, right? I honestly cannot wrap my head around the evil he's willingly and happily perpetuating on the world, not even a little. Now, I want to isolate on this point here, because last time I was on Glenn Greenwald's System Update, I was talking about this. There is not nearly enough anger at Bernie Sanders. And now we're starting to see it. Like this tweet, and we're going to show some more responses here. There is a massive amount of anger at Bernie now. Still not enough. This motherfucker stole hundreds of millions of dollars of working class people money, lying to them, only to turn around and do the bidding of the military industrial complex. And that go back to my tweet. I put Bernie Sanders above Obama at this point in terms of how open of a sellout they are. Bernie and his faction, they're just putting their head down, CJ. You think they don't hear this roaring amount of people screaming at how much they despise Bernie AOC. Now they're just tunnel vision. And we put our head down. We're gonna enjoy these benefits. We're gonna enjoy our social position, and we're gonna keep it going. Now, that's part of this tweet from Jimmy, which is the most important part. Imagine if he told the truth about Ukraine, it would change everything. I honestly just can't anymore. I really want to find a way to start an actual revolution or be as big a part of one as I can. Jimmy Dore, YouTuber over 1 million subscribers, comedian, no reason to call for a revolution. Calling for a revolution. Unlike the same bread tube Jimmy Dore derangement syndrome left, who hates this guy, they are also the same people who are the biggest advocates of incrementalism. The Sunrise Movement, the modern progressive movement, is a sham that advocates incrementalism when we have unbelievable problems facing us. Meanwhile, Jimmy is one of the few white leftist commentators that are pushing above incrementalism. So I think that's fantastic. We've seen this with Jimmy on Russell Brand when he's called for revolution in front of, I heard a godly amount of people watch that stream, like 80,000 live viewers I heard, which is fucking crazy. That's the number I heard. I didn't see it live. I heard there was like 80,000 people watching because you guys know censorship doesn't work. When you try to censor someone, it only makes people more interested in watching them. So he had like 80,000 people watching live, and Jimmy called for revolution on live stream, which if you are part of RBN left, you should fuck with that, right? I see one comment. If Jimmy a Marxist? No. But it's upon us to walk these people who are ready for revolution to the steps needed to get to a revolution. So the fact that he's thinking like this is already above and beyond the average social democrat who do not want revolution because they prefer the capitalist model in place. That's why they fight for meaningless incrementalism. So it's great to see someone with the influence of Jimmy Dore calling for revolution. I'm going to sum it up there. I'm going long. CJ, pass to you. My point, period, is just great to see anyone, especially that have influence, going above incrementalism. So CJ, pass to you if you have any more receipts.
Yeah, just a couple of receipts, and then we'll move on to the next one, next topic. So here, Aaron Mate. I'll start with Aaron Mate's tweet, and I just want to read them and scroll through them. I look forward to one day seeing Congress no longer provide progressive dupes who fund and promote neocon proxy wars.
So Aaron Mate, keep it on Aaron for a second. Aaron Mate has the funniest and most interesting development when it comes to Bernie Sanders and the squad, because it's so public, right? I remember seeing maybe 3 years ago, I seen Aaron Mate on Jimmy Dore's show, and I remember him saying, "I'm not ready to say Fraud Squad yet." Do you remember that? We like,
yeah.
He was, and this is not a criticism of Aaron, because Aaron does good work.
You're seeing the progression.
But Aaron, it's an interesting progression where you used to see Aaron used to say, I will openly criticize Bernie, openly call AOC a fraud, but he used to say stuff like, "I'm not willing to call them a fraud. I'm not willing to throw them under." But he used to say that on Jimmy's show, right? He went from that to after the Ukraine war. He like, nigga, they are sellouts. Fuck Bernie squad, nigga. Fuck all these. It's funny to see. Like, he straight up fuck the squad, Bernie Sanders, and it's been an interesting, fun progression. And it's the Ukraine war that did it. The Ukraine war, not only him, but Norman Finkelstein was another person who used to never like criticize Bernie and them like that. Then after the Ukraine war, Finkelstein like, nigga, fuck Bernie. These people are full of shit. Like, so many people in the NATO left still don't grasp how much they destroy their legitimacy with the Ukraine war, because there's so many academics, many professional managerial class, anti-imperialist workers who they still like abide towards the civility politics, and they were still on board with Bernie and them. Then the Ukraine war, they're like, we're done. They're enemy, and we're against them. And you're gonna see, look, that Cole Pink calling out Bernie as well.
Yeah, Cole Pink calls him out. I read, and they said, this you let us wage a moral and political war against war itself, so that we can cut military spending and use that money for human needs. And when he signs it B, that means he actually wrote the tweet. And so that's Cole Pink and Aaron Mate calling him out. And look what Rome says. He makes a good point. Is it possible to open a class action lawsuit against Bernie Sanders for selling people out and funding his family's nonprofit, asking for a friend, and stealing working class people's money under false pretenses? And then you go on and say Bernie Sanders pulled the biggest fraud of the working class in my lifetime, even more so than Obama. Absolutely despicable pro-war sellout. Did you want to comment before I read that?
Now,
go ahead.
How many people since the Bernie campaign have became completely disillusioned because of politics. The betrayal of Bernie Sanders and the amount of resources that he stole, like asking $27 from struggling people. I still remember the Bernie rallies, town halls. I went to like 3 of them. You will never forget them, and that's where my anger stems, because I still remember, like, there's like a few scenarios that's burned in my mind. I still remember one of the rallies. I don't remember which one because it was a long time ago. There was a rally where there's like this 80-year-old man was like, man, I've been struggling for my healthcare for years. I've been bankrupt. Like, he's like on the verge of tears. Bernie look at him like, man, I really feel sad for you. He like, man, this is why I've been so inspired by your candidacy, Bernie, because I wanted to fight and die for Medicare for all. I need Medicare for all more than anything else. And he's like dinner crying, man. Everyone's emotional. And Bernie looks at him in the eyes. He's like, I'm going to fight for you. I don't care what happens. I'm going to continue to fight for Medicare for all until it gets passed. And then the crowd erupts. I still remember that scene to this day, because I remember being emotional when I watched it, because it was one of those scenes I used to use to prop Bernie up. It went from him looking at a dying senior in his eyes, saying that he would fight for Medicare for all. Now he doesn't even mention it, fam. Now I am wondering what kind of evil motherfucker can do that. What kind of evil motherfucker can have God knows how many hundred people come to him and gave them sob stories to you. You promised them that you're going to fight for them, and then you betray them? How is that not more despicable than Joe Manchin, Barack Obama, and other people? Because if you look back at it, Barack Obama had a lot of signs. I was too young and I didn't have access to that information. But there was a lot of signs that Obama was going to sell out, right? But Bernie pulled the biggest heist, the absolute biggest heist, not in terms of resources, but emotional labor. He destroyed, and there's still many people who are nihilists because of it, where they just gave up because fucking Bernie them sold them out. But I know you want to play the clips. I'll pass to you, CJ, so we can get to it.
And I'll let it play for the second time. I'll let it play all the way through. It's not even 2 minutes, but this is Michael Parenti on Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, I think it's great. The trouble is he's still not saying anything about foreign policy. He's still not criticizing. The empire feeds off the republic. We don't need an empire with 70 military bases, 700 military bases all over the world. We don't need to be fighting 2, 3, 4, 5 wars all at the same time. This is crazy. That's all. Bernie hasn't said a word about those things. He hasn't. He's just not said anything about it. So he's good on local issues. He's really, I think he's a liberal Democrat. He's not a socialist, or not even really a left progressive. He's just sort of he'd be a good liberal Democrat. But look at what he says. He says, and we want the rich to pay their share too. What do you mean? We want to stop having the rich rule our lives and rule our minds. That's what we want. And I think he could do a lot better on that. And he's going to have to say, it's not just me. I was alone years ago about his position on foreign policy, but a number of other people have brought it up now too. So he will have to start saying something about foreign policy, which would put him at odds with the national security state boys who play for keep. When you get into arguments with them, you got to be careful about your plane crashing or your car skidding and going off the road, or a lone assassin coming over and killing you.
So Chris Hedges and Michael Parenti was 100% right about Bernie Sanders. 100% right. Michael Parenti is such a real one. He was close friends with Bernie Sanders. They used to have like dinner and shit. They was really close friends. Then Bernie Sanders sided with NATO in their horrific war against Yugoslavia. And then Michael Parenti told that nigga to lose his number after that shit. Michael Parenti is like us, fam. Like, he's like, bro, I'm not playing this shit, fam. You supporting a NATO war? You don't accidentally support a NATO war. Get the fuck out of here, Bernie. Now, he cut him off, like, straight up after that. That's the energy that we need, right? Not this, oh, well, they got to support this because you don't want to upset the staff. No, Michael Prenny told that motherfucker, get the fuck out of my house, lose my number, never talk to me again, you neocon motherfucker. How can you possibly be more based than Michael Prenny? I don't think it's possible.